Welcome to Stretch Goal Cast. I'm Justin Nichols.
I'm Jared Wuerzburger.
Hi, and I'm Clinton Ma.
Alright, on this one we're going to be talking about Lemma. So, think Mirror's Edge, parkour game with all the fixings. You've got your running, jumping, rolling, wall runs. But imagine you leap into the air and you've got nowhere to land. What would you do? You'd probably fall to your death. Or try and sprout wings, but wings are overpowered. So, what you can do in this game is go into slow motion and create blocks to jump on or walls to run along. So, instead of just, like in Mirror's Edge, looking at the different paths you can go on and then choosing one, in this game, the player actually gets the ability to create their own path and really get a better sense of flow throughout the level because they're kind of making their own journey through it. The coolest thing is that these are made out of voxels, as you can see in the video, and basically the signature move is creating when you wall run, the wall will actually be built as you're running along it, almost like the game Bastion. The Kickstarter, the end date is on April 17th, so it's still, right now, has 16 days to go. And a brief, it's a single-player only game. Currently, it's only on PC. It may make it to Mac and Linux. Those are stretch goals, but I probably wouldn't count on it. And then it is enabled for 360 controllers, and should be coming out around November 2014. Bit summary on the game: it's a puzzle platformer with some exploration to it. You have a choice about which worlds you go to and what order, and he even mentions that some of the choices you make in one world may have an impact on the other worlds. I don't know. There's not too many details about that, but the whole game, the story about it seems very mysterious and strange, and that also you can see in the visual style. It's got almost this, I want to call it like an ancient alien tech vibe of architecture. It's a lot of geometric shapes with cool hieroglyphics etched into them. There are like different worlds, but they're all kind of built from these same building blocks. But I did feel like there's some variation just through the color and also just the way the structures are built to create the levels throughout these different worlds. And yeah, that's basically the summary of everything in it. It's on Greenlight currently, and yeah, it's got 3,500 out of its goal for 10,000. So hopefully it gets there. It still has plenty of time, but it is time's catching up. So we'll see. What do you guys think about it?
I think it's pretty cool. We've been playing a lot of Titanfall recently, so seeing some more wall running is kind of, the second you said parkour is making me get kind of excited. I haven't really played too many of game types in this genre, but I think it's pretty unique, and you can see, if anyone wants to pull up the Kickstarter, you can even check to see some of the footage you've seen so far in the video. But the idea in watching and actually physically watching the wall be created at your fingertips as the player is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think it's very unique gameplay. I haven't seen anything like that. And I think having what looks like, based on the geometric shapes, if it's a procedurally generated game, I think there's quite a bit of possibility here, both for maybe even puzzle solving and exploration in the world. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I don't think it will be procedurally generated. I think the levels will be like puzzles, and you kind of have to go through them. It might be, but I haven't read anything on that. But, yeah, I think even with just like a simple puzzle game, like it could work. Definitely there are issues though, because hey, if you could just create the platforms, isn't it going to be really easy to get through the game? But I think there are going to be, you know, different types of tiles that you'd have to interact with, and different ways to uh, get to the end of the level besides just keep on creating as many platforms as you can to hop your way there. Um, I
Which might
even,
be fun.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
races might be
mean,
fun.
to be honest, like if you look at, he's got a video, a gameplay video link on the Kickstarter page, and that was really helpful because he goes over all the different controls on it, and as he's messing around in this big open level, he mentions that it's just fun to move around in, and that's a good sign if, just the controls feel good and kind of doing that core mechanic is fun, then that's a big hurdle for any game. Just making sure that what you do most of the time is fun.
It sure does look fun. I watched the extended preview of the guy's movement demo,
Mhm.
and yeah, it looked really interesting. I would say the guy has more of a challenge ahead in terms of design. I have a design mentor who would just crucify this guy for combining a first-person view with platforming, which is essentially what this is, right? It's combining, it's using parkour, but sometimes you'll be jumping out into empty space and you'll be creating like a platform or a wall to sort of like step or hang off of, and then you're kind of going from there. So first person, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to traverse pits and stuff in first person, it could be really difficult. And so I think he got around that by the whole mechanic of you can create your own platforms, right?
Mhm.
And so that's really cool. And that reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you guys watched these old like X-Men cartoons.
Are you
I don't
talking
know if
about
you guys seen
Iceman?
these. Iceman, right? He
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
slides around. He's constantly creating like his ice slides, ice platforms, and so this is like, oh, it's sort of like Iceman, but not quite.
I had that in my notes. I was like, this totally gives me like an Iceman feel.
Yes,
It does kind
Iceman.
of, now that you say
uh,
that.
Surfing.
So that,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think,
it's like,
yeah, it's got such good flow when you're able to create your own platforms like that. I think, it's got a really good. I don't. Should be fun.
Am
so
I the only one that notices that there are certain areas that are like, so the idea of him running around, there are certain areas that will accept the wall. Do you see how that pops up in
Yeah.
some of
So
the
yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of, yeah, it's not gonna go wherever you exactly you want it to, because all the voxels have physics, which means they can't just float in the air like say in Minecraft. It's like you can just have pieces floating in the air like floating islands or just a tree that doesn't have a trunk to it.
Okay.
Um, in this game, everything needs to be connected to something, and that is part of the puzzle element as well as there are platforms that will explode or like fall when you touch them. But yeah, basically everything needs to be connected that you're building. So that means you can't just create a block out in the middle of nowhere. That block will jet out from somewhere to catch you, though. Um, so there are some limitations.
And does it say what engine this is in?
I don't believe so. I didn't come across which engine, but I know that it is going to be, according to the IndieDB page, and also on Steam Greenlight, which he's close to getting greenlit. So if you're interested, even in just maybe buying it later on, I recommend going to the Greenlight and voting for him. Uh, is that he is making this mod friendly, and so the game engine, and he's got sort of a simple level editor ready, but he said it's not very user friendly. That's one of the stretch goals, is to make a very user friendly uh, level editor. But seeing how much time's left and how much money he's made, I don't think he's gonna reach that far. I think maybe he'll get to the minimum 10,000, but I wouldn't expect to get much further than that.
In the FAQ, he just mentions that the engine he's using is open source.
Hmm.
Yeah, but no name.
Yep.
And then he does have a demo, a live demo. Did you notice that?
Yep. Yeah, there is a demo. You can try it as well. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A couple of other things I noticed, which might be a turnoff for some people, is the game that's going to be hopefully released in November uh, is going to be about 3 hours long. So not a huge game, but I think that it will be a very well, um, good quality game. Like very focused. 3 hours. I don't think it's going to get too repetitive. Uh, so hopefully they'll be done well. If you think of like other games that are short but done well, like I'm not gonna say that this is gonna be as good as Journey or something like that, but we're starting to see more games like that, like Brothers and Gone Home, where it's these kind of smaller, more intimate games that are just kind of keep you really attached for those 3 hours or however long, and it seems like every part of it is just so well designed and so fresh that you're never grinding at all in the game. There's always something new around the corner. So I don't really mind that, especially for $10. And also, I noticed that there were some pictures on the IndieDB page that show the character with a pistol in their hand. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. But it could be cool if you're just like shooting at blocks to get them out of your way, and then you can like move through. So it's like, oh, this is an obstacle that you shoot through, and then you can like build your blocks through it or something, build your platforms through. So that could be good. But there's also, as you noticed in that gameplay video, there are enemies that are
Yeah, you
you
got
never
shot
see
by
him, but he gets
enemy.
shot by one. So I'm not exactly sure where that's going. Could be good, could be bad. I mean, I don't think this is going to be as focused on. I don't think this game's going to have as much combat or enemies as Mirror's Edge did, and that was sort of, by many people, the downfall of Mirror's Edge. Was at least giving people a gun and a bunch of enemies. I think, hopefully, like, I think you could still have a gun, still have enemies, and there could still be fun there and do it right, depending on how much of it's in there. It's hard to say because again, I haven't even seen what the enemies are like. I just know that he got shot by one in a video.
Yeah, to this guy,
Well, he said they were turrets.
Todd.
Oh, turrets. Okay.
Yeah. I said turret, didn't I? Damn it!
Turrets.
It's my dragons.
I used to say dragons. Now I say dragons.
So Evan Todd is making this game, so we give him this message: if you're gonna put a gun in this game, don't do it like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
Do something, if you have to have a gun and gunplay, just do something completely different than what Mirror's Edge did. Just make it so it has like auto aims and you can just shoot guys while you're sprinting along and just make you feel like a badass.
Yeah.
Whatever, just don't, take away from the main part of your game, which is like the parkour, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I could see it being fun if it was almost like. I think it'd be better if he just went kind of whole hog on how like fantastical and weird these environments are, and instead of having like a pistol, just have like a beam or something that like shoots through out of your hand, and you could like, because I could see it being cool where it's like I'm jumping in the air, I gotta blast through a wall, and then like I lay down a platform, land on that, and kind of keep on running through. So it's like, oh, there's an obstacle in my way, but I can just keep my flow going, shoot through.
Yeah, just like a wall gun.
Yeah. Okay, so any other last comments by you guys?
No, man, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm for $10. I feel like, and he's got a demo. So the first thing I'm gonna do after this call is play the demo and lay some cash down if I like the way it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll enjoy
definitely.
it. I'm gonna try out the demo and then decide afterwards.
Yeah,
But
I
let's
think.
get
Yeah, I
let's where it's
think.
going.
Mhm. I think even if this is, I don't mind it being a short game either because he can take this. It's almost like in a way, a proof of concept, and then really expand on it in the future as well. So again, that's Lemma. It's on Kickstarter, and you have until April 17th to get in on it. So check it out. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.